Hi everybody, it's me George, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on this, the Grimoire of Arthur Gauntlet, a 17th century London Cunning man's book of charms, conjurations and prayers, edited by David Rankine, and it's Abalonia Books. And I want to actually start off by saying that this book I found genuinely fascinating. This book really gripped me. And the funny thing was, over the years, I was actually told by over several different people, you would love this book. You know, you have to buy this book. You would absolutely love it. And so I was like, yeah, I kind of need to get round to actually buying this book and actually reading what it has within it, you know. And I think a lot of the times we talk about, particularly within folkloric witchcraft or you know, revivalist British folk magic, we talk a lot about this word cunning folk, and we kind of almost throw it around sometimes. Wise women, cunning folk. And I think sometimes we don't look into enough into some of the older practices. And I think that this book will genuinely give you an insight into not just one cunning man, into more than a couple, you know, because there are different hands that have actually contributed to this manuscript, such as a notable angel magician such as Elias Ashmole, founder of the world's first public museum, the Ashmolean in Oxford, Baron Somers, Lord Chancellor, Sir Joseph Jackal, Master of the Rolls, and Sir Hans Sloane, founder of the British Museum, as well as the astrologer John Humphreys and the cunning woman Anne Savage. And this book really does have, because it's so quite vast in regards to the information that it has, because it doesn't just have folk magic and things like that, it has grimoire stuff within it. So this holds within it material from the Heptameron, the Arbatel, the Discovery of Witchcraft by Reginald Scott, the writings of Cornelius Agrippa and William Bacon. And the actual manuscript itself is called Sloane MS 3851. And it is fascinating. It really is fascinating. Now, has anybody actually read the book Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, or watched the series? I haven't read the book yet, but I have watched the series. The book's like that, so I kind of get a bit overwhelmed with it. It is in my flat, and I do need to read it at some point. But because of the amount of pages, I'm like, it's a bit overwhelming. This book reminds me something from that. It almost feels like it would be in Mr. Norrell's library, or it would be Mr. Norrell's scrapbook, that kind of thing. A lot of grimoires, because they are have been hand copied, some of the Latin can be a bit wrong and can be a bit, like that. And I have friends that are ceremonial witches that spend their free time screaming at bad Latin in grimoires. And so what David Rankine has done is some of this is kind of sorted out in a sense, and kind of said, well, you know, I can speculate that this could actually mean this, and this could possibly mean blah, blah, blah. And I am not a grimoire person at all. I am a folk magician through and through. So when there were certain things within here that I got, so Reginald Scott's Discovery of Witchcraft, I could get some of the stuff there, you know, well, this is an angel that you call for this day, which is great for counteracting theft. You know, this is an angel that you call on this day, which is great for exciting hate among two people. This is, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. And a lot of folk magic, if you read some of it, is this is how to do this, this, and this. What you do is blah, 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 say these words, bosh. Done. Very practical, very hands down. But there are some, not all, there are some grimoire spells where it's like, ye shall rise before the sun, and you shall do this, and this are the seals and characters that you have to bear, and this is a psalm, and this is another seal, and you're like, right, okay, so does that seal go there, or like, do I say the psalm before, or like, what the fuck is happening? And so in that respect, when it comes to the grimoire stuff, such as for me, the Arbatel and the writings of Cornelius Agrippa, I needed to get Agrippa on that. Like, there were things that I got quite lost. So I had to reread this twice. However, when I did reread this twice, I got it. But I want to say that's because I'm not a grimoire person. Don't get me wrong. I understand 110% that the grimoires such as Cornelius Agrippa has basically is the foundation of the majority of the Western magical tradition. I understand that. And I understand that grimoires and folk magic on some level do go hand in hand. For instance, in the Black Dragon, it mentions for counterspells, for sending back witchcraft or bad energies that the person has sent by use of an animal's heart and white thorns, and then leaving it by a chimney to shrivel. Sound familiar? Very prominent within British folk magic. So I do understand all this, but there are just some things that I do struggle with. Now, I've got the Crossed Keys, and I thoroughly enjoy that book. And, you know, I've read Abra Merlin, and that was a bit like, oh my God, my head. And I was a bit like, what is going on here? So there are some that I get, and there are some that I do quite frankly struggle with. But throughout reading this book, you know, I was saying to my friend, I was like, there are some things that I just don't really get. And I was kind of a bit like, it was very high ceremonial. Why is why have I been recommended this book so far? And then basically about halfway through, not even halfway through actually, I hit a very, very interesting couple of, well, it just got really interesting after that, for me personally. There were conjurations, how to call angels into a glass of water in order to direct it to a thief, you know, so that the thief will bring back things to find treasure, against witchcraft, to find out who the witch was that sent the ill wishing, and get them to come towards you and reveal themselves to you. There was not just that, but, you know, there are different days of a conjuration for Tuesday, which, you know, is the angel, you know, the angel of kind of Tuesday, and, you know, all these, here are the signs that you use and things like that. And it really genuinely is very, very interesting. I also, as well, the back, oh my God, the back is a real gem for folk magic. It's a genuine gem for folk magic here. There are spells and conjurations here that are incredible against cramp, against toothache, but not just that. Charms for diverse diseases. You know, there are to have a conference with familiar spirits, to have familiar spirits, to have a conference with fairies, to have a conference with spirits, to call the dead, to, you know, to see strange sights. You know, here are the characters of the 7 fairy sisters, and here is how to call them. This is a seal for working with the fairy sisters, you know, against theft, against thieves, against witchcraft, you know. And David Rankine has done a fantastic job here in regards to giving the historical accounts of this book, into giving how old the book is. You know, I can speculate through this and this, and gives his reasons. The references within this book are incredible, you know, but the spells and experimenting with games, you know, like games of chance, like gambling, things like that, to make somebody follow you. You know, all these amazing little tables and correspondences and things like that. And I think with this book, if you want a genuine look into how cunning folk practiced, again, not just one, but multiple, this book will give you a genuine insight into how cunning folk practice. And I think this is very resourceful, and I would highly and thoroughly recommend this book, because this book was something that it really appealed to me. The workings within this book aren't called workings, they're also called experiments, which again feels very Mr. Norrell and Jonathan Strange, and there was something very lovely about reading this book. Arthur Gauntlet himself was actually described as a very lewd fellow, which basically means he was a bit elitist within his practice, you know, kind of a bit, my practice is creme de la creme, and anybody else is there, you know, which made me chuckle, because not much has changed with some occultists over the years, and a part of me was quite mad that this was juicy, because that kind of attitude I hate. I tend to, hate's a very strong word, but I tend to dislike. And so, yeah, I did find this very interesting. I also found as well within this book that I actually, I reread it again because with some of the grimoire things, then the penny dropped. But again, I am not a grimoire person, so the penny dropped. The other thing I was also told was to treat this book much like a scrapbook, like a cunning man's scrapbook. So it wouldn't have been a regimented thing that people would have said, right, you need to do this, then do this. I feel like it was a thing that morally people would have kind of took from it in regards to working and just applied it to how they wanted to apply it. So the idea of treating it more like a scrapbook as well, to me, thoroughly made a lot more sense. Because I don't think that things would have been done like that. I think that it was more like a case of almost like having a scrapbook, picking what you feel is going to be good for you to practice with. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I think if you want a genuine insight into how practice was way back when with cunning folk, it's here. You know, this book will tell you. So please buy this book, like have a look at this book, because it was incredible. It was absolutely fantastic. I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I actually also tried one of the experiments in this book, and without getting too much into things, it was an experience, very intense, almost a bit frightening, a little bit scary. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I done, because I'm very private in regards to my own personal practice. But this was the conjuration that I done, how to call angels into a glass of water. I did actually put a picture up of, not the working in progress, but of the working afterwards. And it's on my Instagram. So if anybody wants to check that, I'll put a little link down below, so you guys feel free to have a look at that picture. That's a total plug for my Instagram as well, shameless. But I wanted to experiment and actually try one of the workings within this book in order to also give it a good review. And yeah, the working was it was interesting and quite scary. So yeah. Over and out, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this book review, and peace. Take care.